We begin at this hour in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu has signed the new Minimum Wage Act into law. The president signed the new law at 2 p.m. local time at the council chamber of the presidential villa, Abuja. The brief ceremony was witnessed by the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Deputy Senate President Barau Jubrin, amongst others. Away from that, let's now bring you updates on the planned nationwide protest, where we understand that commuters flying the Kefi-Abuja Expressway were on Monday left stranded after military officers barricaded the highway to conduct a stop-and-search operation on vehicles entering the nation's capital. The soldiers mounted a roadblock at Sani Abacha Barracks before the popular AYA roundabout. Security agencies did not give any prior warning before the blockade that has caused a gridlock extending as far as Nyanya Bridge, more than 12 kilometers from the checkpoint. After hours of standstill, many of them were forced to return home. This is coming 3 days before the planned nationwide protest over the current economic hardship in the nation. Some youths are planning a nationwide protest from August 1st against the rising cost of living and economic hardship in the country. Meanwhile, in neighboring Niger State, now some youths have trooped to the streets of Suleja to protest the ongoing cost of living crisis in Nigeria. They wielded placards such as "Enough is enough," "Stop anti-mass policies," "We are not slaves in our country," "Hardship is unbearable," "Fuel subsidy must be back," amongst others. The protesters marched on the streets as they chanted anti-government songs. The federal and state governments have made several efforts to stop the protest, saying it could be hijacked by hoodlums and enemies of democracy. Although some of the organizers of the protest had announced August 1st as the kickoff date, others said it would commence in July. Some youths in Lagos State on Monday, July 29th, held a counter-rally to say no to the planned August 1st nationwide protest. The youth, who came from different locations, converged on the Lagos Island area of the state to express their support for the Tinubu-led administration while calling on other youths to shun violent protest. Alluding to the 2020 NSAS protest that led to destruction of property and loss of lives in the state, the youths frowned on its reoccurrence and said they would stop it from happening again. In a related development, the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada have issued security alerts regarding potential violence during the planned August 1st End Bad Governance #protest in the country. In separate travel advisories, the three countries warned their nations or nationals in Nigeria to avoid areas of possible confrontation between security forces and protesters, citing past incidences of violence during similar events. Market leaders in Abuja, Sokoto, Kano, Katsina, Ogun, Osun, Zamfara, Gombe, and other parts of the country have expressed concerns about possible looting and have requested heightened security around markets during the rallies. In response to the planned demonstration, police authorities have recalled all personnel and non-essential duties to ensure a strong presence in public spaces during the protest. We now bring you updates on the petrol scarcity witnessed in some parts of the nation. In Lagos State, the situation at filling stations has reached a critical point as motorists face long queues amidst looming fuel scarcity. Our correspondent Ni Omoni visited Ogba area in Lagos, where residents share their displeasure as vehicles, including motorcycles, cars, and commercial buses, lined up for petrol.
Stranded between two fuel stations, Ifeoluwa, an Uber driver in Lagos, was among the many waiting in the long fuel queue.
I'm here since 4 o'clock this morning. I know how much I don't make before this morning came.
Look, I've been here since 5 o'clock, and when I got here, my fuel got fitting. I cannot take the risk of taking the little fuel. It's not even going to get to my working place, and they've started calling me, and these people are here to start selling their fuel. Even as I'm speaking to you like this now, I'm taking a risk of losing my job.
The long queue started on Friday and trickled into the weekend. This is one of the longest stretch across Ogba Ifako called College Road, which houses about 6 to 7 fuel stations. It's a busy Monday morning, and as you can see, a lot of Lagosians, rather than head to their work, are here across various filling stations trying to get premium motor spirits, commonly known as fuel, for their vehicles.
Directly across the government-run NNPC station was an independent oil station surrounded by tricycles, motorcycles and motorists amongst others, waiting for that station's operation to begin 20 minutes after their counterpart.
There is no reason. They've not come out to us that this is the reason why they don't sell fuel. And not they don't have the fuel. They have fuel to sell. Why are they suffering the masses?
NNPC attributed the scarcity to an issue with discharge operations of vessels delivering petrol to filling stations in the region. Many Lagosians wondered when Nigeria's challenges would end as they struggled to access fuel stations.
Yes, seem better, 568. But yeah, now 800 naira, I am on the sell and I don't even know like this. Keg, they no sell. Motor self gone, then they do on short time, then go sell now, then go say 2 hours, then go say they don't stop. They'll come ask more price again, join them. I don't understand this kind of country.
As not all could endure the long wait in the queue, some opted for the black market, where petrol sold for 1,000 naira to 1,500 naira per litre. Concerns arose regarding whether the ongoing fuel scarcity might further inflame Nigerians with just a few days until the planned nationwide protest. In Lagos for News Central, Igbalani Omani.
In the meantime, Abubakar Migandi Garima, president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has provided further clarification on the ongoing fuel shortage in the country. In an interview on News Central TV's News Now, Garima explained that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, attributed the supply shortage to congestion at sea, which has delayed the delivery of petroleum products to various tank farms. Garima noted that the NNPCL assured that once the product is supplied to private depots and discharged, IPMAN members can begin loading the fuel. However, they attributed the increase in pump prices at various filling stations to the lack of direct supply to IPMAN members. He criticized the current dependence on depot owners for obtaining the product and appealed to the NNPCL to provide direct supplies to members, which is stated has the highest number of retail outlets in the country.
In fact, through the information that we received through the NNPCL, they have conjunction of the traffic on the higher sea, where the daughter vessel is supposed to go and get the product through the mother vessels. So there is traffic clearance. That is the reason why they cannot be able to supply the product to the various tank farms. But they said very soon they will be able to see they eradicated this problem that they are having. The increase of price, normally we independent petroleum marketers who are not getting our product direct, we rely on the depot owners. We have to go through the depot.
Let's now cross over to our correspondents in some parts of the country for more on this. Austin Azu, of course, is on standby. Austin, you join us. Austin joins us from Delta State with the latest. Hello, Austin. Now, what's the situation in the state?
First and foremost, I'm standing along the Nebisi Road here in Delta State, the capital of Delta State. And beside me, you can see a filling station belonging to one of the major marketers. From where I'm standing, I can see no queue on the filling station, unlike what we have in other parts of the country. We have gone to other places on before now to ascertain the queues in the various filling stations. Though we saw some little queue, but not compared to what is experienced in other places. However, the prices varies from one filling station to another. The major marketer sells between the range of 750 below to 730. But in other areas where the other marketers are selling above 700, some even say 800 and 820. Currently in Delta State and Asaba precisely, the fuel scarcity experienced in other parts of the country seems not to be experienced yet in the state capital. They are still dispensing fuel. Motorists can just go into the filling station, get their fuel and walk away. Unlike you have a long queue in other places across the country.
All right, now let's talk about the pump price. You said you found it within a certain range, 700, if I got you correctly, to 1,000 plus. I mean, compared to what it used to be, any reason, if at all, there's a difference in the price as to why?
Well, for now, they have never stated any reason, but what they have been selling from the past weeks has remained like that. I personally bought fuel for 750 last week, and some people are still selling 750. Yeah, there was a place I bought fuel for 820 naira in Warren. But meanwhile, that is not the template why most of them have not increased their pump price. But there was a filling station where earlier on, the fuel attendants were attending to motorists. But a little while, they came and they shut the entrance to, when I asked the question, the person told me that he had instruction for him to close the entrance about 30 minutes ago. So obviously, they seem to have been getting some information across the country. And obviously, you know what these filling station owners can do. Definitely, they might likely going to halt the fuel pending when they will get another information whereby they will be selling late in the evening at a higher price.
I mean, that of course, is a rather, disturbing development, if at all. But thank you so much, Austin, for the update. We would, of course, keep in touch. Thank you. Earlier, News Central's correspondent Bernard Akede joined us from Lagos, and Chiwe Ugele joined in from Abia State, and Umaru Kerawa spoke to us from Borno State on the fuel scarcity situation.
All right, well, here I'm at the NNPC mega station in Ikoyi, and it's been nothing short of drama, I can actually assure you that. Right behind me here, you can see the crowd behind me. There are people trying to make their way into the fuel station to buy the product, and then you'll understand why the queue is this long, causing traffic. The NNPC filling station is the only one that still sells at the, what is being called official price, which, according to the billboard behind me, is 568 naira. For other fuel stations, we're seeing prices as high as 609 naira, 620 naira, some as high as 650 naira. We spoke to certain passengers or customers who've been trying to buy PMS this morning. Very aggrieved, many of them were. Some of them saying they've been here from as early as 3 a.m., some 4 a.m. As a matter of fact, a fight even broke out right here behind us, which we caught on camera, caused by people trying to jump the queue and make their way into the fuel station. Many of them are not sure as to what exactly is causing this fuel scarcity, but you clearly mentioned, what's been going around on social media. So it's mayhem and a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion here. You can imagine the kind of traffic that this causes all the way down on Ikoyi Road. And it's not just here, across Lekki, Victoria Island, for the filling stations that have the products to sell, they'll be causing traffic on the roads from long queues. But for those who don't have, if they are under lock and key, their gates are completely shut.
Okay, so the situation in Umar here, Abia State capital, is such that there is no scarcity anywhere. Most petrol stations are not dispensing, they are not selling to anyone. And then those that are selling at different prices. The NNPC mega station and its outlets in the town are selling at 595 naira. One of the filling stations I visited this morning was selling at 695 naira. And then a whole lot of them are selling at between 800 naira to 850 naira. And that is a major concern for a lot of people who I spoke to this morning.
It was an unfortunate incident that happened yesterday night at around 1 to 2 a.m. in the morning, where insurgents suspected to be Boko Haram invaded Jakana police station in Jakana under Konduga local government area.
We stay in the capital, Abuja, where the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory has assured youths in the capital of the ministry's resolve to ensure youth inclusion in governance of the federal capital. The minister made this known during a town hall meeting with the youths at the Kwali area of Abuja, while responding to their demands of not being included in running the affairs of the federal capital, a situation that has left many of them disillusioned. He says that a youth mandate secretary will be appointed to interact with the youths and ensure that their demands are presented at the highest levels of decision-making in the capital. News Central's Idan Joseph completes the report.
Another day of dialogue with the original inhabitants of the Federal Capital Territory. Youths within the capital from the 6 area councils were opportune to engage with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Yusum Wike, and express concerns bothering them.
Admission is very hard for us to get. We have an university in Abuja that has been laying fallow for the past how many years? It's not in existence. Secondly, the issue of scholarship. The scholarship we're receiving will not even take us to our schools. We are receiving less than 50,000 naira as undergraduate, even PhDs.
It is our request from the Abuja South Federal constituency that we are requesting for more youth inclusiveness in your government.
Responding to these concerns, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory revealed that the government is making an effort to address the current economic hardship affecting the country, which is taking a toll on youths. He says many of the concerns raised have already been addressed.
If a worker, the minimum wage is now to be paid 70,000. You yourself that is not working, they are giving you scholarship of 50,000, for example, or 100,000. You are not saying that is nothing. We are now doing procurement to build classrooms, to build lecture theaters, laboratories for the University of Science in Abuja. If I were you should have asked what is the situation.
Reacting to the call for youth inclusion in the decision-making process at the highest level of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, the minister promised to ensure the appointment of a mandate secretary for the Youth Secretariat when created. He says this will help foster youth empowerment and inclusion in governance.
And without seeing him, another secretary will just approve it for you. Accept it. And then we will appoint a mandate secretary for the youth.
With the planned protest by many youths set to commence in less than 48 hours, many of the youth assured the minister that they would not be joining other groups to take to the streets of the capital. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idan Joseph.
Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has cautioned Labour Party members and supporters against attacking the party's ex-presidential campaign council spokesperson, that's Kenneth Okonkwo, over his differing opinions. Reports indicate that a few hours after Okonkwo announced his resignation from the Labour Party, the party's leadership described him as one of the moles in the camp. Okonkwo left the Labour Party on Sunday due to ongoing internal rift and a leadership crisis that has threatened to tear the party apart. Reacting to the development, Obi, who was the party's presidential candidate during the last general elections, stated that despite Okonkwo leaving the Labour Party, it remains a trusted ally. In a series of posts on his X account on Monday, the former governor said Okonkwo's differing opinions does not make him an enemy, but rather a strong voice and a friend. News Central now continues in West Africa, where a Guinean court will deliver its verdict on Wednesday in the trial of ex-dictator Musa Dadis Camara, accused of orchestrating a 2009 massacre where over 150 persons were killed and numerous women were raped. According to the United Nations or a United Nations mandated commission of inquiry, at least 156 persons were killed. 109 women were raped and hundreds were wounded in one of the darkest episodes of Guinea's history. Victims, who had long awaited justice, doubted a trial would ever occur until it was initiated by a junta that seized power in 2021. Now, Dadis Kamara, along with 11 other government and military officials, faces charges of murder, sexual violence, torture, abduction, and kidnapping. Was consistently denied responsibility and attributing the violence to his subordinates. The landmark trial, which began on September 28, 2022, has captivated the nation with courtroom proceedings broadcast on television and radio across Guinea. Defense lawyers in Senzo Mayuwa's murder case say the evidence being brought by the state is being fabricated. The lawyer of accused number 3, Charles Nisi, told the court that the cell phone numbers that the state believed were linked to the accused number 5, that's Tuli, were fabricated by state witnesses, and that Tuli never called Kumalo prior to the killing of Mayuwa. Cross-examining state witnesses and Vodacom supervisor Pinky Mnisi argued that the alleged Ntuli cell phone number that Vatir Grahim and another previous state witness and data analyst Colonel Lambatus had not been matched. Now, the supervisor also refused to comment on the issue of the discrepancies and maintained that their data is uneditable. Earlier, a legal analyst spoke to us on this development.
Evidence that would come in from third parties, which is meant to sort of to verify the state's or utterance of saying that these accused knew each other. So you must look at it from that angle of saying, are these telephone reports able to prove that there was prior communication before the occurrence of the event, during the event, and even after? If there's any significance or any evidence that can lead to those, then it does prove that they knew each other. It does prove that they acted in concert. The only thing that you don't know is the content of the conversations which were taking place at that time. So they must be looked at in isolation just as much, but they must be looked at within the overall context of saying that are they able to prove or to link that there's prior communication? If the answer is yes, that means it would have served their purpose from the side of the state.
We'll stay in South Africa, where Police Minister Senzo Mchunu over the weekend visited the suspected military training base in Masoyi, Limpopo, where police raided the camp and arrested 95 Libyan nationals. The camp, which was initially designated as a security training camp, has now been allegedly converted into a military training base. The 95 individuals taken into custody are all Libyan nationals and are currently being questioned by the relevant authorities. According to the police, at this stage, it is not clear if the Libyan nationals are in South Africa for security training as mercenaries or if they are supporting either the North African nationals' rival governments. All 95 are said to have acquired visas through misappropriation in Tunisia, misrepresentation in Tunisia. To discuss this, we are joined by William Els, is a Senior Training Coordinator, Institute for Security Studies. Thank you for your time. Let's get to it. Now, what went through your mind when you first heard about the security or secret military base in Mpumalanga?
Good afternoon to you. Yeah, in South Africa, you must just understand that we have about 4 times more security officials than police officials, and all of them need training. So we've got quite a few training facilities for private security around the country. But all of them, of course, need to be registered by CIRA, that is our regulatory authority for security companies, and all their training must also be accredited and go through SAQA, that is the qualifications authority. So what happens, what is supposed to happen there is that it's supposed to be training that is accredited. They are inspected twice a year. So this was something quite unique when we heard that the possible military training actually took place.
Now, we know that investigations are ongoing, but my question is, who might have sent these Libyans and what kind of training were being done, at this farm?
Yeah, in the first place, you must just look at Libya and you see that Libya, they've got the government of national unity. They actually occupy a very little, a small area of Libya. The rest of the country is dominated by militias. The biggest militia is that of General Haftar, that is based in Benghazi. Then in the south, you've got several tribal militias, but also you've got Al Qaeda and you've got ISIS bases there. So it all depends where they are coming from and who sent them. Initial indications from foreign media, we saw some stations in media stations in Saudi Arabia, especially, actually accredited these people towards the Haftar faction.
Now, during his media briefing over the weekend, the Minister of Police was asked whether this base was a military camp or a legitimate training facility. His answer was both. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the minister was also asked, and he said they must just remember that the line between military and security training is very blurred. So you have to read into that what happens on face value. You see, it's military tents, it's military style training. If you look at the website of the company in question, they also advertise themselves as military styled security training. Now, you must just look at that against the backdrop of South Africa and the violent crimes in South Africa. So you need specialized training for just a guard that is at the gate, and then you need other different levels of higher specialities for people like, for instance, your close protectors, your anti-poaching guards, your farm guards, and all of them. So they do train on different levels. So what needs to be done is, in the first place, these courses are accredited according to CIRA. Now, what the police need to establish, did the company overstep the line and did they push the boundaries with the type of training that they provided?
Now, as a former security agent yourself, there are red flags in all of this, particularly when it comes to the security of the nation.
Of course, in the first place, 95 people from a country in conflict entering the country and doing specialized training. At least they should have been monitored by the state security agencies and not allowed for 4 months to continue the way they did. So that is a lapse in security, and it raises a red flag. And we have to now establish, are these people the only people? Is only this 95? Or are there more that actually came in with them? So that all will come out in the washing, as they say, as the investigation progresses.
Now, thank you so much for your time on, of course, the news. Volume.
You're welcome.
Let's now tell you that Ethiopia says it is easing foreign exchange curbs as part of a broader economic reform package, as the deeply indebted nation awaits a multi-billion-dollar bailout from international lenders. The value of the local currency, the birr, slid by around 30% against the dollar after the announcement of the measures by the central bank. Africa's second most populous nation is pinning its hopes on a rescue package of around $10.5 billion from external lenders, including the International Monetary Fund. But negotiations have been long and fraught. Analysts say the IMF has been calling for numerous reforms of Ethiopia's tightly state-controlled economy, including floating the currency in order to unlock the funding. Let's also tell you that Human Rights Watch HRW reported on Monday that Sudan's warring factions have committed widespread sexual violence against women and girls aged 9 to 60 in the capital, Khartoum. Survivors have been prevented from accessing health care. The new report, titled "Khartoum is Not Safe for Women," includes testimonies from 42 healthcare workers and first responders about sexual violence, forced marriage, and child marriage since the conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces erupted in April 2023. The 88-page report also details conditions that could amount to sexual slavery. While the RSF has been primarily identified as using sexual violence systematically, there are also reports of such violence by army soldiers. HRW noted an increase in cases since the army took control of Omdurman in early 2024. Nicolas Maduro has been declared the winner of Venezuela's presidential election, but the opposition and key regional neighbors immediately rejected the official results. The Electoral Council announced that Maduro won re-election with 51.2% of votes, while opposition candidate Armando Gonzalez received 44.2%. Maduro addressed supporters at the presidential palace minutes after the announcement to celebrate the declaration from its loyalist electoral authority. But Venezuela's opposition coalition insisted that it had garnered 70% of the vote, rejecting the figures from Maduro's loyalist electoral authority.
Con el 80% de las mesas escrutadas y con un nivel de participación electoral del 59%, los resultados son los siguientes. Primero, Nicolás Maduro Moro, del Gran Polo Patriótico, obtuvo 5.150.092 votos, con un
Non-consultant hospital doctors in the United Kingdom, known as Junior, has agreed to a new pay deal with the government, potentially ending months of strike. The deal offers an average of 22.3% pay rise over 2 years, short of the initial 35% demand. Now, junior doctors will now vote on the agreement, which could end industrial action that has resulted in 1.5 million postponed NHS appointments and £3 billion in cost. The strikes began in March 2023 with staff seeking improved pay and conditions. If accepted, the deal will bring relief to the NHS and patients affected by the disruptions. For more on this, I am joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Now, can you tell us the details of the pay offer for junior doctors? Afia, if you can hear me, can you please give us details of this particular recent development? Afia, if you can hear me, please, can you bring us up to speed as regards the details of this new agreement between the junior doctors and the government? We apologize for that. We have a bit of connectivity issues with Afia Hagen. Of course, we'll be taking that up in our subsequent bulletins. But let's also tell you that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convenes the Security Cabinet in Tel Aviv following a deadly rocket attack in the Golan Heights. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Sunday vowed to hit the enemy hard after rocket fire from Lebanon killed 12 young persons in the Israeli-annexed Golan Heights and again raised fears that the war in Gaza will spread. Iran warned Israel that any new military adventures in Lebanon could lead to unforeseen consequences. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned Saturday's rocket fire and called on all parties to exercise maximum restraint. Israel's army called it the deadliest attack on Israeli civilians since the October 7th attack that began the current fighting in Gaza and triggered regular exchanges of fire across the Lebanese border. Now let's of course tell you that ahead of the NSAS protest, we understand that of course New Central went out to feel the pulse of both buyers and sellers. The protest is to start on the 1st of August and end on the 10th. Many Nigerians complain about the economic impact of the fuel subsidy removal and the minimum wage, which the people say is not meeting their needs. Now, joining me on the news at this time to discuss this is News Central's correspondent Joshua Marai, who joins me from the nation's capital, Abuja. Joshua, thank you for joining me. Joshua, if you can hear me, thank you for joining. Joshua, what can you tell us about the situation at the market in the midst of the planned protest?
Well, the current activities are still ongoing. Everything seems normal here in Wuse Market in Abuja, and residents are going by their normal activity, daily activities. Sellers are still doing their bit, and citizens too, the customers are still buying too. Everything is going smoothly as ever before. But the only challenge they are having right now in the market is the challenge of transition from their places of work or down to the market. They are lamenting the current situation of the fuel queue affecting movement here in Abuja. So basically, everything is going normally and as planned.
All right, Joshua. Now, in terms of the prices of food items, can you bring us up to speed and what exactly, maybe if at all, the cost is, if there's a difference, exponential difference in the food price and the reaction of those shopping?
Well, one thing I can tell you for sure is that the prices of food commodities in the marketplace, they are still normal. A quick chat with retailers and sellers here in the market, there is an indication that the fuel queues have not really affected the prices of things in the market. But on the other hand, the customers and those who are consuming are complaining of the hike in transport fare, even though the current realities of the fuel queues is not reflecting directly on products and services in the market. But one thing we can say for sure is that the transport fare is on the high side because of recent queues in market in fuel stations as well as filling stations. And the only thing, one thing that we'll know now is that those who are selling back are driving mostly in several parts of Abuja here. But we can say for sure that the prices are still on the stable side. But the sellers say something. They say that the price of goods, the current rate of the market, are really affecting the price of goods. They are still waiting to see from tomorrow to see what the market will have in store for consumers and customers alike.
All right, Joshua, thank you for your time. Up next is sports. Nigeria's basketball team finally won a game at the Olympics after beating Australia 75-62 in the opening game of the 2024 Games in Paris. Before today, the four-time African champions had never won a single game at the Olympics in their previous two appearances. Nigeria has now put itself in good standing to make it out of Group B. They will next play host France before wrapping up their group stage campaign against Canada on August 4th. Paris 2024 organizers are confident the Olympics triathlon events will go ahead as scheduled from Tuesday despite concerns over pollution in the river Seine. Now, two swimming training sessions were cancelled on Sunday and Monday because of the water's quality. Now, there were heavy rains in Paris last week, which has affected the water quality, and temperatures are now expected to reach 34 Celsius on Tuesday, when the men's event is scheduled for. The women's event is set to take place on Wednesday, and the mixed team competition on Monday, 5th of August.
There's been quite a lot of rain, including during the opening ceremony in the last couple of days. but we're monitoring very closely. The level of the sun is going down rapidly. The weather forecast is, bright and shiny, especially for today. It's going to be hot. So we're confident that we will be able to hold, even though we canceled the familiarization this morning, the competition tomorrow and Wednesday, and we still have a contingency plan that is in place for Friday, just in case. But I will not give you any figure right now. We're still measuring things as we go. We got different points and different measure points throughout the day. We also have a tool that is called a collimator, which is some kind of a tool that anticipates what is going to be coming, and the collimator is showing is going down. So that's why we say that we are optimistic for tomorrow. But statement will be made throughout the day. I think so.
Britain's Tom Daley was dethroned as Olympic champion on Monday, but took an emotional silver medal with partner Noah Williams in the men's synchronized 100-meter platform behind China's Lian Zhezhi and Yang Hua. It was a fifth medal in 5 Olympics for 30-year-old Daley, who won gold with Marty Lee in the same event at the pandemic-postponed Tokyo Games 3 years ago. Lian and Yang, who have won at the last 3 World Championships, established their dominance with their first dive and never looked like giving up the lead. They finished with the score of 490.35 ahead of Daley and Williams on 463.44, and Canada's Ryland Wins and Nathan Zumbada Murray on 422.313. Daley and Williams were locked in a battle for second, with the Canadian pair both pulled away over the second half of the competition. And that's a wrap on the news at this hour. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that President Bola Tinubu has signed the new national minimum wage bill into law. We also told you that hunger protest begins in Niger State. Ethiopian government eases forex curbs as it awaits crucial bailout. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live across these platforms. That's DSTV channel 422 Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.